We are still on page Samach, and according to some people, we're going to stay on Samach a long time.
That's great stuff.
But we have to move on. We have to move on. We will. This is just below the middle of that page. The line begins with the word ha-aytz. Actually, and it's not fair. I should go where we are. We're a little further where we're up to.
So no? The rabbis first opinion.
Okay, fine. All right, fine.
So
we'll go.
ha-aytz. Which line we do?
The line begins with the word ha-aytz. It's about 10 lines from the bottom, a little more. Ha-aytz. Okay, the Makiva, you got it.
It's 10 lines from the bottom.
So we have identified in the Yetzer Hara, in the Ayin from Nefesh Abamis and so forth, all the challenges of life, two distinct aspects: the essence and the tziyur, the form. Not to go, so to speak, to the lowest ebb, we'll talk about food, which everybody knows, and food is not the worst thing under the sun. They pointed out that in desire for food, there are two distinct aspects that we can readily identify. Besides that, the health aspect, but just as a taiva, as a desire for it. There is the taste, and then there is the filling up. The taste, in general, this is like the taiva coming into a keli, into a form. It's enticing. The taste is enticing. The way it is presented is enticing. The form. And then there is a gross filling up of I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Both of these carry in them, they depend on the principle that there is an inherent desire. If one does not have desire, so no taste and no form, no design will do anything. There's a pasuk that says, actually, we say it in Tehillim, in Shabbos, Kol eichel t'sayev nafsho. One can reach a point where he's lost, so to speak, the enthusiasm for life, to the point that oichel t'sayev nafsho. He despises food. Kol eichel t'sayev nafsho. Any food he despises. Not going to go to that in there. But the point is that if there is an appreciation of food, it is a sign of an experience of life, which is a good thing. But now one has to direct this life force to what we call Avodas Hashem. We'll discuss that Avodas Hashem in a moment. So the Rebbe is describing that the method of purification, of lifting one from being outside. How does one get to outside? This is what's called a fall down. There are instances, going back to the food situation, where a person can eat without stop. And not because he's hungry, surely he's not hungry. As we said in instances where people go and they bring up, throw out the food, throw up, and then they start filling it up again. This kind of
the Chinese do that, right?
Yeah.
Roman also did it.
In China, this was okay. Anyway, what's the difference? I read one time that this was a tradition in China. So, what does this represent? This is what's called etzem koyach hatayv. The essence of tayv. There is not any kind of design, any kind of cater for it. He does not view it with any kind of intelligence or even emotion. It's totally a physical, a body level of experience.
This is the Ratzin.
Taiva. It depends how you call it. Chayfetz. I don't want to give names to it. Okay?
Not the Koyach HaMesaveh though. We're not talking about the Koyach HaMesaveh.
No, the Koyach HaMesaveh.
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's Ratzin? Okay.
Ratzin is separate category.
Okay. Koyach HaMesaveh. So this Koyach HaMesaveh, this Taiva, is essential, is an essence in the Nefesh HaBahamis. This represents the very fact, the very life element in Nefesh HaBahamis. The same as Nefesh Elikis, Lahavdi, seeks to unite with Elokus and to be bought on Elokus. Nefesh HaBahamis seeks to satisfy a type. Which is an essential union in the Nefesh HaBahamis. It's a powerful force. It's a godly creation. It's real.
To remain on this call, press 1.
Okay, we'll give it to one. We'll give it another chance. Okay.
Returning to the conference room.
I'm confused because you started saying appreciation of food is going to be related to Avodas Hashem. You say you'll talk about it later, and now you're saying it's Nefesh. It's related to Nefesh HaBahamis. So I don't.
It is Nefesh HaBahamis. So, as I said, I'm talking about it later. Give me a chance.
Okay, fine.
I'm sorry, I came in the middle, so I apologize for the question. When you say Ezim Koyach HaTayv, that the Nefesh HaBahamis wants for the sake of wanting it, even though it doesn't fulfill a need, like Nefesh Elikis wants because they...
Yeah, it doesn't have a need. There's no need, there's no justification. It's not for health purposes, that's not to assuage a hunger, just the type.
Just for sake.
This is a phenomenal inyan. On the one hand, you say, well, of course it is, but this represents an essential life force in the Nefesh HaBahamis. And in terms of birur of Nefesh HaBahamis, in terms of purification, elevating Nefesh HaBahamis, what we need to do is to utilize this force. And when this force is utilized for Kedusha, It is it's a tremendous power. And this is what we're talking about. In order to lift one from being in klipa, being of falling down. Let me explain the principle of falling down. That's the nispiras akelim, and there's a nefila. What is this nefila element?
Nefila is falling down?
Falling, a fall. Let's take an extremely simple kind of a concept, okay? It's still, we can relate to it. Not practically, hopefully, but we can understand the phenomenon. A person is in the world. And this world, depending on the intelligence of the person, this world represents tremendous opportunity, tremendous grace and beauty, and also coarseness. A whole reality. All kinds of contradictory principles. Some people run to Florida, or some people run to the North Pole. The variety in the world is unlimited. All of these varieties is something that a person takes with some degree of intelligence. He takes the same. He goes to North Pole. What's it? It's cold and it's challenging, but it feels good. It feels fresh. And I'm walking on top of the snow, and some people appreciate the crisp sound of the snow under their feet. Whatever it is. Then they go to Florida, and they drop their clothes and sit down in the sun, and get burned up. You see a picture sometimes. You shouldn't look at it, but sometimes it's sexy. People are sitting on the beach. Sitting on the beach is not enough that he's sitting on the beach. He has to spread his legs as far as they can go. As far as they can go. And then he has a chair over here supporting his head. His hand is over here. He doesn't know what his hands and his feet are. It's just sprawled out. These are all means by which a person relates to essential chayes that the Rebbe gave. And he deems, he perceives, at least he imagines, that he's really taking it in, he's really taking the world in. He's really experiencing the real world that God gave him. When one pursues this path, unlimited, unbridled, eventually he gets disappointed to all his experiences. This is where people go to extremes. If he takes a ride, he has to ride in a racing car at 250 miles per hour. Otherwise, on the field, I'm moving. Once a person goes into these extremes, he loses sense of what he is doing. But he still wants to experience the real world. What happens is he gives up on all the kelim, all the form of how he acts in the world. He just goes down to the bottom line. Bottom line, there's a solid ground under my feet, and that's all I know. This is called being a feeler. At that point, his experience is simply not definable intellectually or emotionally at all. He has experience of the solid ground under his feet.
Again, he's chasing after all these things.
Oh?
He has to go more and more extreme, and then he comes to the point that
That he gives up making sense of it.
Right.
What?
And he falls down, so to speak, to the bottom. What's called nefila. Shvilas akelim brought down to nefila. And he falls down means he falls as far as the world will let him fall. Now the world is holding up. He's completely. You understand what that means? Up until that point, he is still making sense of what he's doing. Now he's given up making sense. He is completely in the domain. He lets the world control him.
This is the koyach hamizava.
Wait a second. He lets the world control him.
An addictive person.
Huh?
An addictive person. Like
An addicted person. He is under the control of the world completely.
When you were saying, when you started off this whole presentation, and you were saying some people go to North Pole and then they appreciate sound of the snow under their feet. That was something a Keli also? Or?
Yeah, that's a that's a. Yeah, the people. There's some means, some way of defining what his experience was. Then and said the nefila, the pshat, that he fell into absurd activity. Everyone knows what absurd means? It's an international word at this point.
It's a very modern trend.
Huh?
It's in general, what you're talking about, like addiction and stuff like that, is very popular these days.
Oh, popular. It's not popular. It's a unfortunate tragedy.
Yeah.
And at that point, he can't, as much as he was wanting, he can't get hold of himself. Because he's abandoned himself he fell down to the world. It's called nefila. In order to regain his status. So there is what's called, but the Ayin of Porah Aduma. Porah Aduma does the whole avodah that a person is supposed to do on himself. Porah Aduma does it on the Porah Aduma. But actually, it's ultimately reflected on the person. What's Porah Aduma? You take a porah, right high. You take the blood, which is the life force and the enthusiasm, and you throw it into the Midrash. Towards the Midrash. You're outside, but you face towards the Midrash. This will have to. And then you take the very high, the very coarse present, you burn it down to ashes. The Rebbe explains what is burning down to ashes represent. Burning down into ashes represents the Ayin of completely nullifying any kind of enticement, meaningful enticement from the type. The ashes, this is the bottom of the Gashmis. This is indestructible. This is a reality that is in the Nefesh HaBamis. Once you go to this point, and the Rebbe says, on this point you have to start lifting up and the Aveda has to be done with a lozer. That says, why that a lozer? Why not Arim? Why not a Kohen? It has to be a lozer. But a lozer represents Keil Ezer, the help of God.
So, how do we do nowadays that we don't have a paraduma?
With the help of God.
I just got a piece over here. This guy says that he raises cows. He was an Auschwitz survivor. He raises cows, and he has a paraduma in his herd.
Yeah. So Mashiach is here.
Mashiach is here. You're all ready.
Why does a person have to go lower to go higher?
He has to go to the point where he recognizes that he is not going to be able to make it on his own. One of the principles of addiction,
Rock bottom.
rock bottom, that an addict has to recognize that he is not going to get himself out of it. He has to have somebody drag him out, assist. One of the principles in the normal process of addiction is that you connect it to a certain person, and whatever this person says. I remember we had a person who had an eating addiction. You know, it's a mamish, an intelligent person. He was addicted to food, and he was not allowed to eat anything but by first calling up his controller, his manager, sponsor. And he is what I'm going to eat tonight. And we had by Shabbos, so I gave him the menu for Shabbos. He called him, this is what I'm going to do. And that's it. Could not deviate from that at all. Okay.
But he's always saying that this is not the right way. Because he gives up himself. He doesn't take responsibility.
No, but he cannot. He's lost. He's lost the ability. But then there is, in terms of it, there's what's called a lozer, Keil Ezer. When he goes into the point where the Rebbe he solicits the help from Hashem. This is what I want to talk about. We are not talking in Klippa, we're talking about, we have fell down to Klippa, but we want to regain a status in Avodas Hashem. So the Rebbe says like this, that once all other Yisraelis are burnt up, and he's left with the Ephah, with the ashes, let's go inside. I said the line begins with the word ha-aytz. The form of the tree is meharkavat agimel yiseidis. Is by intercombination of the three yiseidis, Eish, Ruach, and Mayim, shehazen nishar nisraf, which gets burnt up in the fire. V'nishar rak etzem hamahus. What remains is only etzem hamahus. Etzem hamahus of the reality itself. That doesn't burn. Ukmeikein yetzer hara, and the similar thing is in the yetzer hara. The yetzer hara itself is hutzir hara. This is what's called the formulation, the imagination of v'hu horotzen v'seichel amidashel, which is all the various koiches, conscious koiches of rotzen and seichel and midas, that makes sense of the ra, makes sense of this type of this design.
Seichel and midas make sense of the.
This is the means by which you make sense. You get enticed into the test.
Is it like saying that you like sound of the crisp snow?
Huh?
What you said before, but this sound of snow is Yetzer Hara? I'm just trying to understand what you're saying.
Okay, wait, we'll be going in. I already given up of an introduction. This is something which has a design. You show him this and he responds. He is drawn to it. It's exciting. But however that is presented, whether presented in a very nicely designed plate of food, or in some other thing. Shekol zeh, this entire picture, this entire reality, tzorich shreifa u'shvira legamri, requires burning down and completely destroying. Because this cannot be incorporated in Kedusha. And therefore it has to be burnt up. And this is the meaning of burning up this food. V'yi and yisha rago efer, and that should remain only the efer, the ashes. Hainu, which is etzem koyach hamisava haposhut. Let me just go back and say, everybody's trying to understand. You will not understand. This is an essential force. It's not a seichel force. Just follow. Let's try and follow what the Rebbe says. One could say that this is the chokhmah of the Nefesh HaBamis. Chokhmah, we say, does not have a means of grasping it. Why would a person eat to the point where he can't eat anymore? To the point of capacity, beyond capacity, and then go and throw up and eat again? Why? Can you make sense of it? His stomach is in control of him, not his seichel, not his midas, not his stomach. So again, everybody's trying to understand. Just allow yourself to be led with the mind. So it's called. This needs to be burnt up and completely destroyed. Only the ashes should remain. What is this? What is the efer allude to? Hainu etzem keach hamisava haposhu. The essential koyach hamisava, koyach of desire, haposhut, mean poshut. K'moi shehu, as it is in essence, b'li shum tziyur, without any form. You have the place? Right. You have the place?
Yeah.
Please let's understand what we're being taught over here. Koyach hamisava haposhut. What means poshut? Poshut means without any design. It was not created by human experience. Human experience is not poshut. Human experience is, this is what I saw, this is what touched it, this is how it feels. This poshut. Poshut means poshut means simple. Simple means it does not have any means of grasp, of identifying.
And it's non-reactive.
It's not a result of reaction. Koyach hamisava haposhut. Anything of that caliber, that kind of reality, is a direct creation from the Creator. In order to create anything poshut, the Creator has to have that level of reality. Anything that's created by experience, by experiment, cannot be poshut. So now you are, so to speak, on the bottommost level of this type, of this Nefesh HaBamis. That Nefesh HaBamis just wants, and it doesn't have the means, he doesn't even seek a means to understand what he wants and why he wants it. It's not important. Not significant. I want. That's sufficient.
And he's freed from the previous form. And he's free of the previous
So
form. That's been,
all the previous forms have vanished.
yeah.
Shazeh, well, here is the big key. Shazeh, but this, Yochel is hapech likdusha. But this can be transformed to Kedusha. Amazing thing. And this can be transformed. This hapech means transformed. Completely taken in from there and directed to Kedusha. And oh yeah, that's what I want. And what would be if it is hafer likdusha? Lihiyois, so that the result would be toikev harotzen lelakus, a powerful rotzen for lelakus. Why is it a powerful rotzen to lelakus? Because it's a rotzen without any restrictions. He doesn't have a definition of what he wants. Without definition of what you want, what is there that you can want on a transformative level? Only a lakus. Why? Because a lakus is the only reality that there is. The pure reality of the lakus. That's what comes up at that point.
How come in Tanya makes a distinction between Klippus Noida and Klippus Tmeis? You have that Pashut in there, Klippus Tmeis, and that Pshitas also, which reflects the Apes Pshitas. Why that distinction in Tanya?
Because to transform Shosh Klippus Tmeis, you can't do it anymore. You can't do it.
You don't have. You also have the pshitas.
You have the pshitas, but you can't. But it falls down into the ground.
Oh, it's too far.
It falls down into the ground. That's what I'm saying. But here, what we are talking about now is the ability, or how is the means by which this will be ultimately Por Aduma presents this phenomenon of transforming the pshitus of Tuma into Kedusha.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Okay, so maybe it's the question is offline or off track. We understand how you take a tree and you burn it, you set fire to it, and you get ashes. So what is exactly there? Not exactly what. Can you give us an idea? What does it mean to burn out all the seer?
I already did, Baruch. I already did.
You explained this?
I did. In the whole introduction to this class. When you lose every sense of what you're looking for. So there remains the koyach ha-misabah ha-poshet. That can be transformed to Kedusha. And we'll see in a moment how that can happen. What?
My question is not clear, I guess. Can you hear me?
I can hear very clearly, yeah.
So I guess maybe my question is not clear. So this piece that you just said I understood. I'm saying it's a practical matter. What does it mean that a person burns down all of the whatever seer his type it takes? He burns it down. How does he do that? What does that mean?
All right. No, I'll come back to this. I'm in the middle of this. I'll come back to this. So the koyach hamisava, the tziyur hara has to be burned down, and what remains is koyach hamisava haposhut. And this koyach hamisava haposhut yochel is hapech likdush. That can be lishapech likdush. What happens with this mishapech likdush? The result of that will be toike v'rotzen le'elakus, a powerful rotzen, a rotzen that is unbridled. It has no constraints. If it has no constraint, how is that to kedusha? Because the only reality that is real, that is infinite, is elikus. It's kedusha. And the Rambam says, you said what is the very first principle? That the yes, show motzurishi. Motzurishi. This is without any design. There is motzurishi. This motzurishi is beyond, before all existence. How does one relate to motzurishi? This is the basis of existence. Cannot be without that. And therefore, this basis of existence, this is motivation, that remains always. And this results in the Tokyo Rotzen Alakus, the powerful Rotzen to the Alakus. He doesn't even know what he's looking for. Not beauty, not greatness, this motivation, this reality itself. Okay. This desire, this Tokyo Rotzen, this is felt in the Nefesh Abamis, in the Koyach HaMisav HaPosh. But here is a dilemma. What is the dilemma? The dilemma is, he has this Koyach HaMisav HaPosh. How does he know to put it into Kedusha, into Rotzen Alakus? He's fallen down to the ground. What?
That's why. Realize it's nothing in the end. No?
This is the only good, but how does he know to direct it over there?
Mashpia.
Huh?
Or Mashpia.
How does he know to direct it over there? Where does that come in? The Yochel is happily Kedusha, but where is Kedusha? What does he know about Kedusha? So for this we say, V'zehu, and that explains the point. Shemitzvos por aduma hoya be'eloza dafki. This explains why mitzvos por aduma was dafka exclusively required to be be'eloza, not Ayin, the Kohen Gadol. Eloza was skan Kohen, skan. Why Eloza? He said be'yalkut. It's explained in Yalkut. Yalkut is Yalkut Shemoni. This is a medrash. Elazar, because Elazar, the word Elazar stands for Keil Oizer. Keil Oizer, the assist from a mile from God. The godly assist. Where is this godly assist come in? Because why is that? Does he get the assistance from God? Because one who comes l'tahir or l'toyer to be purified, Messiah, he will be assisted. Paltiel, Messiah Loi. He will be assisted. Just want to interject something very, very significant. This principle, Habolatai, Messiah Loi, Messiah Loi. If he wants to be tired, so what is in the assistant? He wants to be tired. Tahara is all over the place. There is a very subtle derailment over here. Bolatahir, he wants to be pure. As soon as he feels purity, it's wonderful. I feel purity. He goes right back into impurity. Because he loses connection to the purity, it becomes his stuff. Because he's Yeshus. That's why he needs an assist to connect to the source of purity. To be Messiah, you have to connect to the source of purity, not the purity as you experience it. Bishop said, Habolatai, Messiah, if he comes, Messiah, he's being assisted because that is what he's really looking for, and if it doesn't assist, he's going to fall back. We spent too much time. I just want to explain the whole thing. The clear example, so to speak, in our own experience, and we spoke about this many times, an interesting phenomenon. We all have to breathe in order to live. Life is an extremely wonderful experience for us. To the extent there's a rotzen lies, there's a rotzen nichnis, there's a godly infusion of rotzen just to the will to live. And that's why we breathe. And the breath of air, this is what gives us the physical life experience. And we explained many times how would this breathing take place. Even though there is an in and out breathing, but the real highest in breathing is not the fact that one takes in the breath, the fact that the breath, the source of air, pushes itself into his nostrils. If he becomes conscious that he is breathing, then he loses the effect of breathing. This is similar to the Abolatay Messiah Nasi. You want to really breathe, also physically. You have to abandon yourself to let the air give you life, not that what I take in. This can be illustrated in many. I don't want to go too far here. So Abolatay Messiah Nasi. The big day, and so he doesn't explain. The big day law says mitumalatai etahara, because in order to step out from tumah into tahara, from impurity into tahara, even though he's in impurity and he wants to be tired, but he will never be able to dislodge himself from the tumah, even though he wants tahara, because the tumah will always get hold of him again. Bolatayr, Messiah, he's completed, he has to have the assist from the source of Tahara. Because when it's initial in his Bolatayr, he's not Bolatayr because because the Rebbe wants him to be toyer. He wants to be toyer because he himself feels the tumah where he is. And therefore, without wanting the Tahara the Rebbe gives, it's never going to get it. The Tahara has to come from Ramayla.
He feels impure because he knows that this is not the real thing.
You understand what I'm saying? Breathing, like in the case of the breathing, the breath that comes, the real breathing is not the breath that you take into your nostrils. The real life force is the force of the air, the mass of air, the air pressure. This is what gives you a feel of force of life. But when you are gasping for air, you're not thinking about that. You're asking for you want a breath of air in your lungs. What's the difference between a breath of air in your lungs and the feel of the mass of air? The difference is survival or living. The mass of air gives you the sense of the life force in the air, whereas the air that you take into your nostril, this is survival, that you're not going to dry out of oxygen. This keeps all your internal limbs or your body refreshed, but not life. Life is a different kind of experience. Life's experience is when there is a living world, then you have life. So even though he's Baal Tahir, he's not going to make it on his own, because his whole perception, L'Tahir is the fact that he wants the countery of the tumah. He doesn't want the tahara per se. He doesn't realize that the tahara per se is something completely different. That it requires mesiras nefesh. It requires getting rid of your own sense of personal satisfaction. That he doesn't realize. He wants to be told. But because the union from Tahara is Tahara, is Kedusha, therefore Messiah lay, so he will get an assist. The reason he gets an assist is because the Rebbe also wants him to be Torah. It's not just his desire. His desire. This is mitzvah the nefesh habamis. But the emes is that the Rebbe wants him to be Torah. The minute Bolatayr, the Rebbe jumps in, so to speak, and takes part in his start. Because the Rebbe also wants him to be Torah. But then his job at that point is to let himself be helped. You understand what that means? Let him be helped. To recognize that he is there because the Rebbe brought him here. To recognize that the Torah is something that the Rebbe gave him, not because this is his intelligence. This is the Rebbe's state. This Yom Yamaila is in every aspect. The first thing is that this is a Torah that comes from Rebbe. That you're learning the Rebbe's state and not Torah that makes sense to you. It makes sense to you, but the minute it becomes based on what makes sense, you fall right back into clip. Shlomo said that this seems to be talking about an addict. By an addict, Achmon Yitzlan, nobody should know about it. By an addict, the minute you allow him, he allows himself to experience, I know about the food, to appreciate the food he's eating just on his own, he loses it. He cannot eat something because, I like it. I can't tell you the diet that we prepare for him. He turns his stomach. A plate of mayonnaise. I'm telling you.
For the challah, not just to eat it by
I
itself.
don't know exactly what else. Mayonnaise. This is what kind of stuff. This is what you got. This is what you need.
That was even when he was going on the path of being cured.
That's right. He cannot allow himself to appreciate what he's eating.
I mean, it was given to him because he doesn't like it, or because
I don't know. It was given to him so that he's eating it because he was told by his mentor, by his controller, whatever we call him, manager, that's what.
Not his husband.
And not the spoon beyond that.
On the way for this guy on the way down, that it didn't make sense.
One second.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if it's time you can answer my question, or you think you answered it already.
I don't know the answer to that question because I'm trying to cover every inch of the robe.
I asked the question, how does the sreifa occur when we're talking about the seer of the Yetzer Hara? What does it mean that you do a sreifa on this?
Here is the example. Here is the example we just now finished saying. This man who was nebuch addicted to food. Before he happens to be he was a guest in our home for Shabbos. Before Shabbos, he asked my wife, he coordinated with my wife. This is what he's going to eat, and he calls up he's a controller. This is what he's going to eat. He tells her exactly what he's going to eat, not a morsel less, a morsel more. So he has at this point defined his menu, not on the basis of what he likes, but on the basis of what has been agreed with his mentor.
What's pure, what's going to lead him upwards.
The minute he turns to, oh yeah, that's good. Can I have another spoonful of that? Forget it. He's going to lose it.
So then what happens to his koach and his
Huh?
So then where do we see his koach?
That's an example of sreifa?
Yep.
So where do we see his koach? Where do we see his koach and his salve being left? And it seems like he's almost like taking it out. It's gone.
No, he's still eating. He's still alive.
But it's not a.
All right. Let's get back to Alakusa here. Yes.
The Nefesh Elokis has a rotten atzvil Elokis.
Yeah.
But the rotten atzvil Elokis, it's not a rotten atzvil that's turned to Elokis. Why Nefesh Elokis?
See, this is an interesting thing. The Toike of Rotzen Elokis that comes from Nefesh Abamis is more powerful than the Rotzen of Nefesh Elokis.
Is it because it's rotzen the Tara? It's not a rotzen Elokis, it's a rotzen that's turned to Elokis.
That's right, because it's Rotzen. It's called Poshut. Nefesh Elokis has a Toike of Rotzen, but Nefesh Elokis Seichel is Chochma. He knows what he wants. Nefesh Abamis doesn't know what he wants. He just Toike of Rotzen.
So the Nefesh Elokis has no rotzen. The rotten Poshut has no rotten Poshut. Has no rotten Poshut. Has a rotten Poshut Elokis. But Mishke the rotten Poshut. Farzik. Rotten.
Nefesh Elokis is not a Mitzias Farzik. What the Elokis wants him to, that's what he wants. Keiloizer. This is important to understand. This is the Keiloizer. Keiloizer is you're waiting for assessment. Keiloizer is the pshat that the Rebbeinu takes part in his avodah. And he knows that when he is doing this avodah, the Rebbeinu himself is interested in his success. That takes him away from his personal focus, so to speak. But so, the Rebbe wants it. That makes sense. That gives him a completely different impetus. It frees him up from himself. This is one of the most significant aspects of today's problem, today's world. In today's world, to give up your own taiva is just an unfathomable thought. Why? From the cradle on, one is encouraged to follow what you want. Even in school you think you have to learn what the school curriculum is. No more. Here's a whole list of options. Choose what you want to do. Choose what you want to do. And you know something? This method works. Because everybody chooses their own thing. And if it does what you want, so he does it. So you think, successful, yeah, they learned what they wanted. They learned what they wanted, but they abandoned their neshama. There is not a means for a person to guide himself in life and with this kind of a background. Okay, but let's go inside of it. Yeah, by the time, the big day loses me tumah tare, because in order to step out from tumah to tare, you need an assist, and means not only initially that you should want to do it. Siyura means as you climb up the ladder, somebody pushes you along. Is holding you up. Let's say siyura. V'zehu kei lo yisir. But, and then I'm going to the next line, so I'll have a little bit encouragement. But then, as a result of the Aved of Porah Aduma, we should go through this burning down of the sense of the type, and you remain with the pure type, and then that get transformed into kedusha, into rotzen v'lakus. All he wants is rotzen v'lakus. Mitzad the Meibesh himself. As a result of this Aveda, mamshichim milmayla b'bchinas ma'im chayim. Then he draws milmayla. He gets from milmayla b'chinas ma'im chayim, the b'china of ma'im chayim, living waters. What is the b'china of ma'im chayim? Here again, we're going to a completely different extreme. We're talking about mayim. But in Mayim Chai, what's Mayim Chai? Mishikosu b'notzah Mayim Chai. The Paltiel said that you have to bring Mayim Chai, living waters. What is living waters? Water is water. What's living waters? Mayim hu b'chinas chochma. Mayim is the b'china of chochma. Chochma is good enough, you would think. Chochma is good enough. That's kind of the purest perception a person has. But it is still a mitzias in the world. It's still a perception. Once it's a perception, it has a place, it has a reality, it has a presence in the world, and that is not going to, is not going to hold him up. It's not going to give him. Ma'im Chai means Ma'im b'chinas chochma, or Ma'im Chai b'chinas mokid ha-chochma. This is the beginning of Mokir HaChochma. In other words, he has completely stepped out from Mitzias world. Chochma is still in Mitzias world. It's an experience. He is Mokir HaChochma, the source of Chochma, which is not world at all. There's nothing to experience over there. In other words, he gets Chochma, but he knows he gets Chochma not from his own devices because he found it. It's shown to him, it's given to him. This is a Mokir HaChochma. Hainu, which is Bechinas HaChochma, Kmei Shehi, Betesfiras Agnuzis, Kedem HaTzitzum. This is the Chochma as it is, for the Tzimtzum. For the Tzimtzum, there's no aspect of world at all. There's only a Lakus. Only the Motzei Ishi. This is what he gets as a result of this Avodah.
Before the Tzimtzum, the second Tzimtzum, before the second Tzimtzum?
Before the Tzimtzum. Oh, before the second Tzimtzum, right. Right. Talking about the Chochma as it is at that stage. We'll still attend to what the Rebbe says over here. Okay, so the important thing that I wanted that we should understand, this Ezer Milmaila is the minute a person recognizes that he is not alone in his own Avodah. And not only that he gets assistance, but that the assister, God who is assisting him, is interested in his success. Then he is in a completely different world. This is because he's not basing on his own materials.
But what is that? Because Hashem is interested in our success. What is this?
Because Hashem is, so then it still remains on his own seeking. Who wants it? I want it. If it's I want it, then it doesn't occur.
He has to come to the point where he wants it because Hashem wants it?
No.
Also,
His only fact that Hashem wants it.
Just Hashem wants it.
What about him?
If it comes to him that he wants it, that's after he already he comes into the realm of Kedusha, then he can want it. But as long as he is still in that state, he doesn't want anything.
Especially he appreciates that Hashem wants it. It doesn't
Not appreciate. He's under that control, under that influence.
Under that menu.
How does he relate to it?
He doesn't relate to it. He's giving himself up to it. If he relates to it, then he's back in square one. If he's going to
himself up to it. He says it's Kabbalah soul.
Not even Kabbalah soul. Kabbalah soul, there is the one who is Makabel oil, and there's the oil. There is only, it's you and your mind, only the Rebbe. I don't want anything. What the Rebbe wants, that's what I want. That's what I want. And the reason I want it is because the Rebbe wants it. That's it. There's nothing else. And that is you and your mind. That brings him out of Tumah. Can you imagine being transformed from Tumah into Kedusha, into Tahara? It's quite a transformation. Huh?
Said it would be nice.
Can a person who, unless you're Avram Avinu, can the average person actually do this?
Who's an average person?
Huh?
Who's an average person?
Me?
Who is an average person?
I don't know. I'm an average person.
You're not an average person. You want to be an average person. You want to stay there. That's how you got to, that's how you, but it's not an average person. The Rebbe is helping you to be more than an average person.
I said in the middle of the Kail Oizer, because when we have a Oizer, then we're not, it's not because of me, then that I satisfy with Kedusha, connected to the source when you have an Oizer.
Yeah.
Is this the reason why to have a Rebbe is so important, or a Rebbe is in a different realm?
This is, I don't know if you need a reason for it. A Rebbe definitely is a great, a great, this is exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. The Rebbe, in the Shluchim, every Shliach knows. Every Shliach knows. When he undertakes any project, that the Rebbe said, wherever you go, I go with you. The Rebbe said, ich gehe doch mit euch. I'm going.
na na